everyone, Jess here at Aviation Festival Asia, and today I'm joined with Neetan Chopra, Chief Digital and Information Officer at IndiGo.
Hey Jess, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming. So firstly, why is the APAC region uniquely suited to leading the digital transformation of the industry?
Yeah, I was away in Dubai for 27 years, working for some lovely companies there. And last year I landed in India and joined IndiGo, right? And, I see first a level of, youthfulness in the workplace and in the country per se, a level of optimism, right, for the future potential. The economy itself is high growth. And inherently there seems to be adoption of these digital technologies, right? And I feel all of these are great ingredients which enable a transformation journey to occur, right? So kind of the nurturing ground for transformation, which I think is very similar to the larger APAC region.
Absolutely. And I believe it's India that has a very high mobile adoption rate as well. So people are used to interacting with these technologies at these levels.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I observed was just youth, right? There's so many young people around. And yes, all of them carry around these smartphones now, no longer, the old phones. And there seems to be this inherent adoption of technology in the younger growing population of India.
That's great. So looking almost at the flip side of that, what are the challenges in the digital era and how are you looking to overcome these at IndiGo?
Yeah, transformation, I've been an enterprise guy all my life. Transformation from within is never easy, right? Yeah, it's one of the most difficult tasks that you ever do. I sometimes feel whether it's even possible or not. Most transformation seems to happen from outside. There are a number of reasons. Availability of talent. But if I distill into one predominant area where I think, which causes the most grief when you're looking at transformation, I think it's just the acceptance, then the adoption, the mindset and the culture, right? If you just bundle all of these together, I think that is perhaps the biggest barrier for a true, authentic transformation within large established enterprises, right?
That's a really interesting point you're making about how hard it is for internal change as opposed to external.
It is, right?
There's a real distinction there.
You're so right, from within, right? If you have to transform from within, that's not for the easy-hearted. It's a tough game.
Okay, so looking towards customer experience now, does digitization give aviation the tools it needs to compete with other industries?
Yeah, just in my view, it kind of digitization democratizes levels the playing field, across industries, right? One of the things I've observed is, and that's quite fascinating, right, that today the industry lines are actually blurring, right? Retail companies go into finance, aviation companies are looking at business models across these industries. And I think a lot has got to do with the fact that digitization kind of blurs these boundaries, right? To a startup, to a kid, in a garage, the quintessential garage today, in some part of India or APAC or anywhere in the world, they have the access to the same amount of technology with cloud as maybe a large enterprises with big dollars backing them, right? And with the democratization of capital as well. The other thing about APAC and India is there's a lot of capital inflow. There's an abundance of capital, despite the current blip that has happened, right? Yeah, so I think it's quite fascinating. Digitization, availability of technology, also the fact that the price points have now come to that level that it's accessible to a lot of people, with also things like cloud. I think it democratizes across societies and industries. And that's a fascinating trend to watch out, right? It democratizes the potential almost in the future, right, for innovation.
That's such an interesting thing to think about, the way it sort of forms bridges across industries as well.
That's a beautiful way to say it, right? Exactly. It forms these bridges and you don't know where the next disruption is going to come from. It might not be limited to your own industry, right?
Yeah, fantastic. So looking at keeping on along the lines of technology, could you identify some of the most powerful use cases for generative AI across the business? Do you see it having the potential to transform the industry?
Yeah, if you double click generative AI, you get to the word AI, right? Yeah. And I have been a huge learner and follower of this technology. It was invented in 1950s, AI, I mean, the term AI. And it has had many a winter, right? Yeah. But my personal view is the winters are now subsiding, and we are heading to a long summer with this technology, right? I mean, there have been some technologies in the world which we call general purpose technology, electricity, perhaps the internet being one of them, which have a profound impact on societies and humankind per se, right? My personal belief, right, and I might have to eat humble pie, yeah, but fair enough.
We'll see next year.
Fair enough, right? Is that AI is heading to that is already at that tipping point of having a profound impact, right, on multiple enterprises. In the aviation world, of course, right? I mean, you've heard it all over Aviation Festival. I mean, there were a number of keynotes, right? Forecasting and predicting capability, right, in core areas of aviation. Forecast me the best price, forecast or predict, the demand patterns, forecast the number of meals I should put on an aircraft, right? So across commercial and operations, forecasting, predicting are all being powered by AI, at least initially right now, right? It's still going to pan out over the next few years, but that change has started, right? And then there are use cases around classification, right? I get a number of complaints coming through or number of service requests of the customer. Who should I distribute it to, right? So, yeah. So I think vision, NLP, and then of course, I mean, what a fascinating world we live in, right? With ChatGPT being released, right? 100 million users in 2 months, right? 5 days, 1 million human beings used it, right? Amazing, right? And that's because it has first, of course, is, they cracked the code of simplifying the technology for human beings to use it, right? I'm able to use it every day. My daughter is able to use it. My mother is able to ask questions. And second is, it's able to generate content, right? Yeah. So we are looking at it saying, how do I feed ChatGPT with our own data? Because it's finally about the data, right? So I see, I'm a huge advocate.
I can tell.
You can see, highly passionate about this technology. Yeah. And I think the tipping point is reached. And, innovations like ChatGPT, despite there being issues, right? Ethics, ability to risk manage these algorithms, there are true issues which need to be resolved. But I think they create that excitement within human beings and enterprises to take note and then to see the potential and trial things out, right? So I'm very bullish about ChatGPT and AI in general within
Absolutely,
aviation.
and I think in particular ChatGPT, it's really sort of caught the imagination of the world, hasn't it? It's not restricted to sort of big tech users. It's normal people speaking about it and interacting with it, and that's what might fuel this as well.
I think that's the essence, Jess, what you said, right? The essence to adoption, you innovate and you digitize to simplify, right? So that normal human beings can use it and not just the geeks writing some code, right? So I think that's a trick, How do we innovate and digitize to simplify? And ChatGPT is a great example of that.
That's great. And then zooming out further still, which trends do you foresee having a significant impact on the digitization of operations?
Yeah, there are numerous technology trends, but perhaps I can share two things that I get quite inspired by, right? So there is a entrepreneur in the US called Naveen Jain, right? And he's sending out spacecraft. I think it's called Moon Express's startup, right? To get stuff from the moon and bring it back. Yeah? And it's one of the few, I think the only private company which is allowed to do it. And I'll come to you what the trend is, right? And then he's hoping to mine helium-3, which will be used by nuclear fusion reactors, in the future, right? So I think one of the big trends I see in today's world, which really inspires me, is for people to think this big, right? Imagine, right? He's thinking of going to the moon, getting helium-3 back, which has no use today, till another technology takes shape, which kind of democratizes or commoditizes energy within for humans, right? It becomes, right? So I think one big trend is, and you don't see that often, right? But really inspires me is, at least in some quarters, for entrepreneurs, for founders to dream really big. That's amazing, right? Exponential thinking, impacting billions of people. I get really inspired by that. That's one trend, right? And then on the completely other end of the spectrum is what you so eloquently just said, right? Which is ability for the same founders to create tech, which is so simple, that a large base of humanity can use it, right? The touch screen, this chat, right? Ability to converse, right? I think these two trends just kind of fascinate me, right? The moonshots, people taking moonshots, and then people saying, listen, let me simplify it so that there is a wide usage. I think we live in very interesting times.
Absolutely, and perhaps with like the synergy of those two working together, it's very excited to see what could happen. Finally now, what do you enjoy about coming to Aviation Festival Asia?
Yeah, I think I came to your London event a number of years back. Yeah, I like I think a couple of things, right? One is you get, within a few days, you are able to immerse yourself into this world of aviation, and also not just today, the way aviation is moving into the future. So that's one thing I really like. Second is yourself and Daniel, you're able to get some real good speakers, right? I mean, some of the panel members, some of the CEOs, I remember I was in Emirates for a number of years, and we used to have Tim Clark there, right? I always used to look forward to these thought leaders. So the kind of people you are going to, able to engage with. And then third, if you look around us right now, this marketplace of startups, kind of people who are trying to work in the aviation ecosystem. I think that's another thing that I really enjoy. So I really enjoy this event, really.
Fantastic. Well, I can't take credit for any of the speakers, but our producers do a fantastic job.
Yeah, they do.
So thank you so much for joining me today,
Thank you,
Neetan.
Jess. Thank you for having me.